Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to day 4 of our Fresh Start 5. I hope that you guys have been enjoying these videos and just this layering of mindset and really walking you through step by step how to get unstuck, how to identify your motivators, how to really be able to move forward and create a life you love. Side note, going live all these days in a row has really given you an insight to all the many ways I wear my hair. Isn't this an exciting journey for us all? Anyways, today we are going to be digging in. We're going to be talking about some stuff, you guys. We are going to be talking about truth versus lies, why what we believe matters. And the reason that I put this into this 5 days of training, which really I could have included tons of different topics, but the reason I wanted to include this one is because this is an area that we get stuck and we don't know why. We don't actually know why we get stuck. And when we start to talk about what we're going to talk about today, we start to recognize some of those things. Now, you heard me say yesterday, this business is really personal development wrapped in a compensation plan. So sometimes there are things that when we are growing, when we want to move forward, when we're saying, you know what, I want more from life. I want more from myself. I want to grow as a person. I want, to grow my income. I want to grow this business. I want to learn and develop and create something. There are things in that process. It's a digging process, right? And there are things sometimes that get unearthed that need to be unpacked, okay? So I just want to say we're going to be touching on things today, but the real work is going to be inside of you. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that sometimes we need some extra help. Like if there's something that we start to recognize within ourselves and we're like, whoa, why is that there? Where is that coming from in my life? That may be an indicator that you could really benefit from, getting someone in your life to talk things out, whether that's a therapist, whether that's a counselor, whatever that is. And I'm not saying like, here's the video where I'm going to send you all to therapy. That is not what we're doing. However, when we start talking about even our self-dialogue and things that we believe about ourselves, things that we believe about others, there is often a root source from those, right? Like we can all agree that those came from somewhere. So sometimes they're simple and they're kind of like, okay, I can work through that. I can see that. I can reset my mental patterns. Sometimes the roots go a little deeper. Okay. So wherever you land, let that just be an opportunity for you to say, okay, if I want to move past this, I'm going to bring a team around me to help me do that. Okay. So, when you are working on your business, when you're thinking about, okay, I went through my why, I know why I'm doing this. I've thought about my dream. I set some goals. I'm working into figuring out those tasks. And then, yesterday we were talking about that mindset shift. And then we get to the place of action, right? We do all this work. We figure out all these things. We set all these plans in place, and then we get to the moment of action. I have to start taking action in order for anything to happen. And it's at that moment of action that those truth versus lies will start to come up. So over the years, so I've been a consultant since 2009. So I've had many conversations with team members, and it's often around the same sort of hang-ups, okay? So if you recognize yourself in these, trust me, you're not alone. Things like, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to be annoying. It just feels really hard. I don't think that I can do it. I'm scared to do it. It brings up something in me that I really don't like, and I'd rather just step away than like push forward to work towards my goals. Things like it's too hard, things like it has to be perfect before I can step into it, all of those things. That is actually related to an underlying fear. So I just jotted some of them down, and I'm going to go through these with you guys, and maybe you will recognize some of these in yourself, okay? So when people say, I don't want to bug people, I don't want to be annoying, the underlying fear there is often going to be the fear of rejection. So I don't want to even reach out to people because they might project a negative emotion back to me that I don't want to feel, right? Absolutely legit. Absolutely legit. I just don't think that I can do this. Well, that's going to be a fear of failure. And a fear of failure extends into many things, right? A fear of setting goals, a fear of being vulnerable and putting out there what you want. It's all because of that fear of failure. It's okay if I'm not successful. You know what? I'll give it a try, but if it doesn't work out, that's okay. There can be a healthy amount of that where you're kind of coming into this open-handedly just to see if it's a good fit for you. But a deeper cause from that could be this feeling of I'm not worthy of being successful, or I don't deserve to be successful. There actually can be a fear of success. There's a fear of failure. There can also be a fear of success. It's just too hard. Other people can do it. I can't do it. That can be a lack of self-belief, a lack of self-confidence. Maybe you've tried things in the past, or somebody told you that you couldn't do something, or that you wouldn't do something, or you wouldn't amount to anything, or that you're not smart, or that you're not capable. Those things go deep, guys. Those roots go deep, and they continue with us. They do not just fall off as time passes. They're rooted. They stay with us until we unbury them and we get rid of them. And then the big one is perfectionism. A lot of people would say, you know what, self-proclaimed, I admit it, I'm a perfectionist. And there can be positive things that come from this tendency of perfectionism because you do things very well. But the other side of that is perfectionism is actually self-preservation. And if you know that you are a perfectionist, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, as long as it's not holding you back from taking action. Because a lot of times people will say, well, I need to know everything. I need it to be perfect. I need it to look perfect before I put it out there. And the difficulty is, when is it perfect? It's kind of like an artist when they're doing a painting, right? At some point, they have to stop. At some point, they have to stop adding color, adding elements, adding dimension to that painting and say, it's done. Does that mean it's perfect? According to who, right? The artist? Maybe, maybe not. But the point is that at some point, you have to say, it's good enough. And for a perfectionist, that's really, really hard. So just really quickly, I want to recommend something. I am not a huge reader. If you followed me on Instagram, I recently talked about this. But one book that I did, and I am not a perfectionist, okay? I am not. I wish I was more detail-oriented. I'm kind of like better done than perfect, which might drive some of you guys wild. But this whole idea of perfectionism being a self-preservation mentality, I highly recommend this book by Brené Brown, and it's called The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are, your guide to a wholehearted life. Nothing to do with Norwex, everything to do with living a life that you feel 100% invested in, 100% present in, knowing that what you are doing every single day is moving you towards who you want to be, what you want out of life. Now, when we start to unbury some of these fears and we recognize like, okay, I recognize that the reason I don't want to be bugging people and I don't want to come across as annoying is I actually have that fear of rejection, that they might be like, yo, I don't want you. I don't want that, right? Because we've made it personal. If you remember yesterday, that mindset shift of asking versus offering, when we're in the ask mentality, it is personal. We make it personal and the rejection feels personal. As soon as we make it about an offering, we are now removing ourselves from what we are offering. So if they choose to say no thank you to what we are offering, the Norwex host program, the opportunity, whatever we're giving them or offering them, if they say no thank you to that, it actually has nothing to do with me as a person. And so sometimes we have these fears that because we haven't had that mindset shift, we cannot move forward. And why we believe matters goes again to what I talked about on day one when I said your brain is literally wired to help you survive. And we as human beings, like how many of you would say, I love uncomfortable feelings. I just love sitting in discomfort. I love confrontation. I run towards it. Oh my gosh, no, we do not. We don't, right? And so how do we move forward in a business where we have to be that one reaching out? We have to initiate conversations. We have to push ourselves sometimes out of our comfort zone. How do we reconcile that, right? When we feel like, but if I do that, I might get met with a negative emotion. And then I run into the fear of being that fear of rejection. I run into a fear of failure. I run into a fear of success, or I run into a lack of self-belief or self-confidence. We have to recognize in order to work past it. And I remember going through this process myself, you guys. Like I remember asking myself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I having this thought about this particular situation? Like what is it? What needs to be unburied here, right? And like, I love Dr. Phil. Who doesn't love Dr. Phil? You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And so if you know you're getting stuck somewhere, you have to recognize the lie. You have to recognize the fear. Because is it true that people are going to be like, I reject you? Is it true that failure is fatal? No. Is it true that you can't do this business? No. You may just not have found the perfect way to do it for you yet. But you'll never find that if you don't keep moving forward and you don't keep trying, which is why day one was all about knowing what are you doing this for and why are you doing it? Because as you move along in the process, you're going to come up against obstacles. Sometimes they're external obstacles. Sometimes they are internal obstacles. But here's the beautiful thing about that, you guys, and I'm going to tell you this, okay? Once you scale that wall, once you get over that obstacle, whether it is external or it is internal, you don't have to scale it again. That wall gets half the size. You begin to recognize it. And you can actually start saying what is true into that situation. So if you're like, I'm going to send somebody a message, I'm going to offer them the hosting opportunity, and that feeling, that fear starts to come up inside of me, you can say, okay, I recognize this. I know why I'm feeling this. And I just need to take a minute and remind myself that I am not asking something of them. I am offering something to them. And if they don't want it, that is okay. It's not going to change our relationship. I'm still going to comment on their kids' cute birthday party pictures. I am going to continue to carry on with our relationship exactly as it was. Sometimes we think that it's going to create this weird dynamic, and it does not have to. You are in complete control of how you react and respond to those people, and ensuring that that relationship stays exactly the same, because it's not about you, right? It's about the opportunity. Now, let me just go ahead and say, okay, my best friend of 20 plus years, like my childhood best friend, never has once hosted a Norwex party with me. Not one time. Has she bought Norwex from me? I actually don't even know. Has that changed my relationship with her? Not in the least. Does that sting a little bit? When I was first getting started, it did. Because we really do hope and want our closest people to partner with us. And sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. And that's okay. It has nothing to do with you. So as you move forward in your business, if there's an obstacle that you're coming up against, if it's external, you can master those with training, like whether it's objections from people or it's like, I've run out of leads, how do I find more people? Those are external external obstacles. That's the word I'm looking for. External obstacles. You can get over those with training, going to meetings, getting fresh ideas, no problem. Internal obstacles, much more subtle, much more powerful. Because as long as these are here, nothing that you do over here is going to move you forward. Because the real issue is lying with what you believe about yourself. I want all of us to have the attitude that says, if she can do it, I can do it. That's literally the mentality that you want to work towards having in order to take this as far as you want to go. If she can do it, I can do it. And sometimes people look at me and they're like, oh, Lindsay, like it's so easy for you to be on video, or you're funny, or you're creative, or you're this or that. I could never do that. I'm not that way. And sometimes for me as a leader, I'm like, this is how I've done it. But guess what? There are literally 100 other leaders wearing the jackets that I have that are the complete opposite of who I am. The complete opposite. This is not a one-size-fit-all business. This is not a fit into this mold and you will do it. If that had been the case, I would not be sitting here right now talking to you guys, because I literally told myself at the beginning of this journey, I'm going to do this business the way that I want to do it and in a way that reflects me authentically. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, it's not for me. I was not interested in becoming somebody that I wasn't. So when I say, overcoming internal obstacles, that is not trying to make you become someone you're not. That is just simply saying, what is the internal dialogue? What are you saying to yourself? What are you believing about yourself? That is just not true. Where did that come from? And let's get those dug out. Unbury the false belief. Unbury it. Get it dug out of there. It doesn't even matter if you're not going to apply it to Norwex. You don't want to carry that around the rest of your life. But being in something like Norwex can really initiate the process to recognize those kinds of mentalities. Does that make sense? So I want to encourage you guys to do some work. Okay. This day 4 can take a little bit of self-reflection, and you don't need to speed through this training. You don't need to speed onto anything. Like tomorrow, we're going to be talking about creating a vision for your future, which is a very light day tomorrow. But today, day 4, is really where the rubber meets the road, because 90% of your success is what's happening between your 2 ears. What is happening up here? Whether you believe you can, whether you believe you can't, you're right. And so if you want to move forward, you have to be willing to identify, recognize, and unbury the beliefs that are holding you back, that are not true, and rewriting that story, replacing those with what is the truth. The truth is, I have something powerful to offer people, and if they're not interested in it, that's okay. It has nothing to do with me. The truth is, I can do this business. I just need to find the way that it works best for me. The truth is, I am worthy of success. I do deserve to have good things in my life. That is the truth. And if there's anything on any of those that cause you to pause, then you know that it's a lie that's holding you back. And it needs to be dug out, and it needs to be dealt with once and for all, okay? We want to be able to move forward. So with that, you guys, I want you to know that I have seen every person from every season of life, brand new mom in a jacket. I have seen retired women in their 60s in a Norwex jacket. There is no mold for this business. There is no one size fits all. You can build whatever you want with this. And when you get past any of those limiting beliefs, you will be unstoppable. Trust me, you will be unstoppable. And it is a joy to be with you, helping you, sharing my experiences in this journey, because I want as many people as possible to experience the freedom and all of the other benefits that come from building this type of business. So tomorrow, we're gonna wrap up day 5, creating a vision for the future. And I hope that you guys will commit to doing the work, because trust me, a year from now, you will be in a very different place. So have a rest of your, let me start that sentence over again. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 5, final day